This presentation will be centered on how Disney films emphasize the idea of hegemonic masculinity and how it creates a negative effect on males. I'd like to bring into view the hegemonic masculinity that we almost forget is in classic Disney films because it's so normalized. Samara Green said, "In The Little Mermaid, who provides Ariel with the shelter and future life of luxury? Prince Eric. In Cinderella, who brings her out of rags and into riches? Prince Charming. In The Sleeping Beauty, who awakens Aurora from her wretched curse and saves the day? Prince Philip. The classic Disney plot is that a girl gets in trouble and then the man saves her. Although this is problematic for the female image, it is also showing that men have to live up to a certain stereotype as well. This quote perfectly explains the role of men and the hegemony surrounding them in Disney movies. Similarly to the Disney princesses, Disney men also have key characteristics that they are known for. The prince or hero must not only have strength and be brave, but they must also be handsome. Physical appearance is huge in Disney films. Everyone likes to say how the man falls in love with the beauty of the woman, but it is also worth noting that the woman falls in love with the man's outward appearance as well, describing him as charming and handsome. It is known that a Disney man must also have power and wealth to get the girl. This reverts directly to what society values in men and their required masculinity. Men must have power and wealth and show both of them off. Disney films send the message that to be considered a man, you need power to show your worth and to use it to get the girl. This is shown in Hercules. At first he is poor with no power and no love interests, but when he gets power and wealth, the love interest comes into play, which is all relative. Along with power, Disney films also teach men that they have to be a hero and must always save the girl. This asserts their dominance and in turn their masculinity. Men must use their power to help the girl, such as seen in Cinderella when Prince Charming brings her from rags to riches, and in Sleeping Beauty when Prince Philip uses physical power to slay the villain. This physical power plays into violence of hegemonic masculinity, as is illustrated in the next slide. Disney has always glorified violence when it is projected onto the villain. This shows boys that they must physically fight their battles with their strength, and if they succeed, they will become a hero. The glorification of violence leads to men showing aggression to prove their masculinity when they feel threatened, because after seeing Disney films, they think it's the only way to solve the problem. Most men pick fights instead of talking things out because they generally see it as a more manly thing to do to physically fight. In The Little Mermaid, Eric stabs the sea witch Ursula, effectively killing her, and he takes on the role of the hero. You don't see Ariel effectively fighting against Ursula, and this is because fighting and showing violence is a masculine act. Also, to be masculine, you must only show one emotion, and that is anger. This emotion is classified as masculine because it goes along with violence, which I described previously as being inherently masculine. Never once do you see a man cry or show fear in Disney movies, but Disney women show their emotions like an open book. To be masculine is to not be feminine, and women are stereotypically seen as being soft and weak. So naturally, men must be the opposite, for fear of being confused with a female. You can look further into hegemonic masculinity, violence, and a lack of emotions as being a real-world problem that Disney helps create, because with this male image comes the problems of unnecessary abuse towards others, especially women. Men, generally, are afraid that if they show emotion they will be labeled weak, so therefore they show dominance through anger and physical power. Both Snow White and Cinderella openly show fear towards their villains, while the men show anger and hatred. Disney also shows the main character as a leader. In order to assert masculine dominance, men in Disney films take control, even when the storyline is centered on the female. Disney men show this stereotypical masculinity when they bravely fight the terrifying dragon who guards the tower, or a giant evil sea witch. Like I have said before, showing fear is not masculine, and neither is asking for help. Disney portrays an independence that glorifies the bravery of the male hero, almost saying that if they did ask for help, their accomplishments would be diminished. Also, it is interesting to note that the men in Disney films assume that the woman wants to marry them, and they never ask for her hand in marriage. This is just another way they show their masculinity and dominance. This time, it is dominance over the woman. This translates into real life when some men assume that their opinion is more important than a woman's. In conclusion, although Disney movies are typically seen as something only girls watch, boys know the films just as well. and each group is affected negatively in some way. Each group learns to feed the stereotypes unknowingly. Disney films are just one of the many popular media pieces that emphasize the importance of hegemonic masculinity, which shouldn't be important at all.